Hello.
You said that as if you're in a cave. Hello, hello, hello.
Hello. Can anybody hear me?
Well, that's that.
Is it rolling?
I think the episode has started.
Oh my god. You didn't even warn me today. You usually do.
I didn't feel the need. I think we're
So you're telling me
10 episodes in.
they heard me say hello?
Yeah. In the void.
Can anybody hear me?
Hello, hello.
Is anybody out there?
Help.
This mother.
Hey, wait. If my math is correct, this is episode 10. Did you know that?
I did know that. Saludcita.
Salute to you. Salute to the wonderful people in the attic with us.
Salute to number 10.
Wow. This, I didn't think we'd make it. I'm going to be honest. Dan.
I said Dan. Yeah, why'd you think we weren't going to make it? What do you mean we weren't going to make it?
Let me say this. Podcasts aren't the easiest thing in the world. Granted, I think we've gotten to a good science and things have gotten a little bit more streamlined. But our last podcast didn't make it this far.
That's true. I think statistically speaking, I listen to so many podcasts, but one of them is like a wrestling podcast. And in that podcast, he mentioned that statistically speaking, podcasts fail like after 3 or 5 episodes or something like that.
Yep.
Like, and they don't fail because they suck or whatever. They just fail because the people fail. Like they gave up. I think it's because people think it's like an overnight success thing.
Which is not. No, you have to build the community. Yep. You have to kind of get into the groove of it too. I mean, what TV show or series is great in the first season? Not many, right? You can't really think of many. But you have to get into the groove of it. We're 10 episodes in. So this has been going on for what, like 2 months?
3? Like if you think about it, like because we've had a little breaks. You know, we had a couple breaks and stuff, but like we've been doing it for like 3 months.
We broke
now.
for two weeks.
And before that, we took a week off.
When?
Didn't we?
No, we were consistent.
Either way, I think it's like 3 months now.
Yeah,
3 to 4 months.
Yeah, it's crazy. So hey,
I knew we were gonna last. You know,
I think you and I are like, ever since we restarted, the channel, we're finally doing the content that we've been talking about doing for so long. And there's things we've been discussing we haven't even done yet. There's things we're working on we haven't even put out yet. I have things on my computer I still gotta edit.
There's an idea we just came up with right now that I think is super funny.
Which one?
We're about
We're
about to go to Target right now.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, let me get my shorts on.
But those are always the best. When we would just be chilling here, like either when I'd be on vacation or when I was living here, we'd be like, yo, we'd come up with an idea and we just hop in your car, go to Target.
Do it.
We'd either film it there or we'd get what we needed to film and then write it, film it, edit it. Boom.
Yeah, even like you're talking about even back in the day. Like I remember like how many one of my favorite memories of like all of ChrisCross, which I think to me it's almost like you can break it down into eras. There's like, the era where we're doing like months, eras where we're doing like strictly like Toys R Us content. But like there's that era when we're doing the monthly themes and the Pixar month.
Oh yeah.
When we did the Bugs Life, Worms and Dirt.
Worms and Dirt.
Oh, thank you. Oh, so delicious. And it was a Worms and Dirt episode.
Up video, remember?
Up video. And I remember like you and I running to that super Target, and like getting a helium machine.
Yeah.
And balloons. Like you're like, yo, it'd be a really cool idea. Like putting, okay, this is literally how you told me. Like put the Up DVD and like put it like attached to a bunch of balloons. Which you sound like a stoner when you're not. But the thing,
we can send the balloons to go high, man.
Well, and when those balloons are high, dude, you don't even know.
Are those balloons smoking Labrador, man? Are they filled with helium, Labrador, man? Bro, what was funny about that day though, but like, was I wanted the DVD to be inside the case. But you were like, no, we can't.
I said that thing's gone.
You're like, I paid for this.
But like, you know, we would have so many random ideas, and I remember like going to Target and like getting the picnic tablecloth and all the ingredients and like thinking, oh, like how many chocolate things we throw in there? We're like going up and down the aisles, and it was like that to me is like the essence of ChrisCross. I have always said that, you know, the channel has gone through so many changes, but like at the core, it's always like like our friendship. And what I love about this podcast is, you know, I think the channel is an expression of our friendship and our creativity and the things that we love, and like me sharing my passions with you and vice versa. But we, through our content, have always invited our audience to be a part of that experience and like share our passions. And I feel like with this podcast, and I love the interactions we've had with our listeners, it's just another, I think, a closer way for us to communicate with all of you at home listening, and to be a part of, like, you know, again, those conversations with Christian and I would be like, that's a cool idea. Let's go to Target. Let's jump in the car. Let's do this and that. Let's film on the fly. And like, we were just, you came over, we watched a movie, we ate, and now we're doing the podcast. And like, we came up with an idea and we're like, oh, like, I know if we did not have to record this right now, which I'm glad we are, but if we didn't, we would be running over there and filming it really quick, you know?
Or if we were hitting record the moment I walked in this door, we would have had some funny content.
There's, you know what I was thinking? I want to ask everybody at home real quick. Would you ever be interested in a like ChrisCross, kind of like a Patreon level like membership or like a YouTube membership? Because I was thinking like there's a lot of things you and I have discussed of like things we can give like on a more premium level if we had a little bit more funds to kind of move around, right?
I can give people like a little bit of my hair, you know, since it's already receding.
Wow.
I might as well, you know, if you want to keep a strand of my hair and clone it, maybe I can get my hair back in like 15, 20 years, you know? That could be part of a Patreon thing. I mean, we got to give away something of value.
That's where you're that's the enticing pitch. I'm trying to sell them on this cool idea.
How are they going to grow this a beautiful, luscious beard without the modified jeans, you know what I'm saying? They could clone me.
You're wearing shorts.
When was the last time you saw me in shorts?
I was going to say, I don't think I've ever seen your knees before. That may be the first time. You came in. This guy, he came in. First off,
I just came back from the beach.
Did you?
No, I'm saying like I just came back from the beach.
Your knees are out, which I don't think I've... And then also your toes. I've never seen your toes before.
Hey, look, my elbow here.
That's a new look. But, you know, it would be cool because, you know, it's funny. There's always a podcast that happens before the podcast, and there's definitely a podcast that happens after the podcast. Yes. And I was thinking, like, it would be cool if we just kept going, you know?
You know, it would be cool, and it could be tied to that, because you were mentioning, you know, how we've made it this far and whatnot, and how there's been eras, and how we want to get the fans involved. I want to call back to, like, the original stuff we used to do before ChrisCross, where we'd hop on, like, when we would do the live streams.
Oh, on Blog TV, right?
Yeah, so, like, you know, so I watch Felipe Esparza's podcast called What's Up, Fool? And on there, I mean, it's a video podcast, which we'll get to eventually, but they do it, like, live on YouTube. Mm-hmm. Like, they'll do their whatever, like, no one's in the room type thing. But then, like, someone that's on the computer will be like, hey, what's the chat saying? Mm-hmm. And they have, like, a service that it's kind of like a Google Voice type thing where they're like, hey, call this number, and they'll, like, live interview people that are watching the podcast, you know what I mean?
That's cool.
So that's really cool. Mm-hmm. And, I mean, obviously with him, he's a comedian, so he'll be like, hey, what's up, fool? And, you know, he'd be like, hey, I was at your show in Modesto. Like, you were the guy that, like, you know, made fun of me or whatever. Like, you made up with my girlfriend. You know, like, sheesh. You know, he'd be like, hey, man, chill. My wife's right here, you know. But stuff like that, you know, like live interacting, when we get to that point, I hope people, maybe they don't want to do that. But, hey, I'm going to ask the people, Chris asked the people at home, I'm going to ask the people in the car, would you guys like to be like? Would you like to see this podcast live? Like maybe for a special event, not all the time. You know? Maybe like the 1 year anniversary or something.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
You know,
we were talking. Well, I won't say. There's things coming down the pipeline, which is exciting for us, but also I think it's gonna be exciting for you guys too.
Speaking about pipeline.
Oh, okay.
You should see what's in this pipe, man. No. Speaking of pipeline,
we just watched Cheech and Chong, by the way.
Yeah.
Up in Smoke.
You know, enough about pipes. Let's talk about sewers.
Oh,
because we just recently saw the best movie ever.
10 out of 10.
10 out of 10.
10 shells out of 10.
It was the best. No, honestly, I was asking my sister today. We were chilling. And I'm like, oh, what'd you think about the movie? And honestly, I've never seen the 2007. I'm a huge Turtles fan, but I have not seen the 2007. I think it's 2007 animated series, movie. But out of all the other movies, I was like, yeah, this is definitely one of the best, if not the best.
Yep.
Because I can't think, other than the original live action and the second one after that, I mean, what else has topped it on the silver screen? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, you and I were talking earlier. We saw an early... granted, this is coming out like a week after it's released, this episode. Mm-hmm. But we saw an earlier like fan event thing like a week prior. And coming out of that film, I like the Turtles. I've actually come to respect them in my adulthood. I don't have like the same nostalgia that you have had like watching it as a kid. Mm-hmm. Because I was honestly terrified of the live action. Those things scared the heck out of me. And they are creepy looking, like in some shots. But I've grown to really love, like, you know, the history behind the creation of those suits and what those films meant for the fandom.
I was going to say, because
Jim Henson.
You know, someone like you, I'm like, damn, I'm surprised you didn't like them as much as you could have been. Like,
I didn't like the Muppets as a kid either.
Oh.
I grew into the Muppets, like, later. Which is interesting. I mean, I always liked Kermit, and like I used to watch Muppet Babies and stuff. That's a different conversation. But the whole thing is, so I'm not like the same fan as you. I became a fan later. You have the nostalgia, right? And I watched the live action films. I think they're great films, you know. And I can see that they're definitely products of the time. I can see the hype that would have surrounded them, and even the animated films. I've seen a good majority of them, but like different animated iterations of them. But this new film, not only was it an incredible Ninja Turtle film, you know, and it has great reviews and all that, but it was also just a great animation. You know, I would argue
I love that style.
It's
a unique style. Like, dude, you know, it's been compared to, you know, Spider-Verse
and like Puss in Boots kind of did that.
Yeah, Puss in Boots.
Like,
but it was like that style, quote unquote, but it was different.
It was very different. And I told you right after the film, I'm like, I love that it had like this really grunge looking, like early 90s, like stick it to the man kind of style. The graffiti, the very like Nickelodeon.
It was like purposely not polished.
Yes.
Like the lines weren't drawn correct. Like,
and everything
perfect
looks
circle,
like caricature and gross looking.
You know,
like,
the main villain, the lady, like her face was like Picasso style. Like,
yeah.
It was not proportioned. Like a lot of the characters had that like unproportionate face.
Well, like,
and it was meant to, like, to me it just reminded me of, like, here's what it reminded me of, like, because this story, like the story of the Turtles is crazy. Like, I've looked into the history and everything, but what really catches my eyes out of everything is that it was just two guys that, like, you know, became friends. They weren't friends, and through their love of comics, they made this story, this comic book, and it has turned into this crazy, ridiculous, out of this world
30
to this
plus
day.
year.
Like, what cartoon from the 80s? What comic book, like, outside of, like, DC and Marvel, has, like, stood the test of time like the Turtles?
Like,
I can't think of one.
Just in the superhero genre or cartoons in general?
I think just in general. Like,
Simpsons.
But did they start off as a comic?
They started off as a short.
Kind of, but I'm saying, like, there's not a lot.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, to see all that, and, like, I usually don't like watching the credits unless it's a Marvel movie and we're waiting at the end. but just seeing all the names of all the people in all the different countries that worked on this film.
Yeah.
That I know that it's like that for every movie. Like, wow, But it really just opened my eyes to like, damn, it really made me appreciate, like Raph says, damn, in one of the movies. Like, man, this really has changed the world, and I like that the new generation now has the Turtles. I've always said that. Every time a new Turtles series movie has come out,
it's for new generation.
It's for that generation of that time. But what's so cool about the Turtles is that like every generation can appreciate this new generation coming up. If you just, like we mentioned in another episode, you just let your inner kid come out.
Yeah.
Exactly. Like I love this film. I liked how it had its own story. It
had its own identity. And like we've seen the origin story of the Turtles several times, but this still felt fresh. It felt new. The voice cast was incredible. I loved all of the mutants. There was like not one character that I wasn't like super crazy for. I know that like April was like a different take, a different spin, and like at first I'm like, ooh, I don't know if I'm gonna like this, but she very quickly grew on me, and I was okay. I was like, this is this version of the Turtles. This is their April, and I was cool with it.
Yeah. But, I'll mention my favorite like villain or my favorite character, and someone texted me about it, but I agree. I think Ice Cube as Superfly was amazing. Like, I love Ice Cube. That's a whole different topic.
Yep.
On his own thing, but one of the reasons why I remembered this movie was coming out again was I saw Ice Cube on TikTok with one of these like freestyle rappers that I've been watching for years. He goes by the name of Harry Mack. And Harry Mack has been on his grind, bro. This dude, like, off the dome, you give him 3 words, he's gonna rhyme you out, come up with a freestyle on any random beat. He's been grinding for years. And I've been watching him before he was like 100K, right? He didn't really blow up until during COVID. He finally started posting on like TikTok and stuff, and he blew up. Anyways, shout out to Harry Mack. I'd love to meet him one day. But Harry Mack was in a video with Seth Rogen, Ice Cube, and the cast of the 4 Ninja Turtles. And they all gave him a word, and he freestyled, and he made his own little rap through all the words that they said, and Ice Cube gave him mad props. He's like, damn, dude, when you have an OG Ice Cube respect your rap game, it's a whole different thing. And I'm like, dude, I literally left a comment. I'm like, all my loves of like everything that makes me is in this video, and it was, and like that's why I'm like, dude, I didn't even know Ice Cube was in this movie.
Dude, there's a lot of the voice cast. First off, I love Ice Cube, and he is not only a great rapper, but his comedic timing is like, it's incredible. I feel like people don't give him enough credit for being in the comedy scene. He's a really funny guy. He made those 21st Jump Street movies.
Oh, dude, my God,
his scenes were so great. But a side note. What were we just talking about?
We're talking about Ice Cube. We're talking about the Turtles.
The cast.
You know who my favorite person was in the film.
You had Ice Cube. You had Paul Rudd. Post Malone was like the manta ray.
Oh, he was?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't even know that.
Yeah. Giancarlo Esposito was...
He was, yes. He was Baxter Stockman.
Yes. And then you had Jackie Chan, who was like an amazing Master Splinter.
Yeah.
And, and then I know there's other... Like Maya Rudolph was in the film as well. She was like the female...
You know, some movies, they need these names to sell the movies.
Yeah.
I don't think
you don't need that for the Turtles. No.
They're not even plastered like some like kids movies are. They're like, hey, starring this, that. Yeah. It's like you don't really appreciate them until the end of the movie. You're like, whoa, that.
And that's the kind of thing that I love.
Yeah.
By the way, John Cena was also in it, and also Seth Rogen was in it, obviously.
Obviously, yeah.
But yeah, John Cena was also in Barbie, which was another cameo that was like, oh my God, what?
I wasn't not expecting to see that.
That was awesome. What was it? Oh my God. It's so funny because I want to talk about like...
Are you sure you're not on the Maui Wowie?
Come on, some Labrador, dude. No, so God, I don't even.
Dude, you know why you're losing your train of thought, bro? Because this movie just mind boggled you. You know, you went in there with no expectations. You know, and then
I had to give John Cena credit. He threw me off course.
I'm surprised you saw him. You usually can't see him.
Can't see him. I heard him. That's right. I heard him.
You heard him, but he was not in there.
Yeah.
But you mentioned Baxter Stockman. You mentioned Esposito, and he's one that I knew was going to be in the film. And now in the 80s cartoon, Baxter Stockman turned into the Fly. Mm-hmm. If I'm remembering correctly.
I don't know.
In one of the stories, Baxter Stockman turns into the Fly. And I was expecting that from this film, but that didn't happen. Baxter Stockman just disappeared for all we know. I mean, we do know that they're going to probably make more films.
Well, they said he died in the fire.
Right, that's what they said. But, you know, anything can happen.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't know if you noticed. Well, I don't want to ruin the movie. I think everyone should go watch the movie. Whether you're a Turtle fan or not, go watch the film. You know, I know we kid about best movie ever, this, and that, but no, it was a great film. I definitely rate it over a 7 out of 10 for sure. It is definitely an 8.5 or higher. Easily, okay? Yeah. So I say go watch it. You know, don't pirate it. Just, you know, do what you need to do. And let us know. Let us know what you think.
Exactly. I want to say this. So what I love about this film is, again, it changes things up stylistically. That to me, was, you know, the writing was great, the acting was great, you know, it had this incredible cast, but the style to me, animation-wise, was gorgeous. And I want to see, like, the studios that I really want to see just try to step out of their comfort zone is Disney. I'm begging them to give me something that I can get excited for. And also, I hate to say it, but Pixar as well. I feel like they got so stuck in this like safe zone formula where they're afraid to try anything outside the box. I will say the movie Wish, like they're trying to do it a little bit. And I'll tell you, like, if you
What's the movie Wish?
There's a new movie Wish.
Really?
Yeah.
It's Pixar?
No, it's Disney.
Oh,
and it's about like you know, all the characters they wish the wishing star, you know.
Yeah, wish upon a star.
Yes. So this is like the story of like, well, what is the star? Like was there a story? Like, what's the story behind the star? Kind of a thing. Cool concept. The movie could be great, but
kind of like everyone wishes on the star, but no one worries who the star is.
Or like, where do those wishes go, or who's granting the wishes? Like, I think that's kind of the story.
Okay.
And I think the person receiving them, I don't know too much about the plot. I've seen like 2 trailers, but like it's like this. Imagine him, he's like a god, and he's receiving all these, but like it seemed like he could be evil. But anyway, they have beautiful like matte painting, like hand painting. It looks to be hand painted, like backgrounds in the movie. I'm like, oh, cool. It looks
a new style.
Yeah, it's a little bit it's different. But they're like the same 3D models that they've had since forever.
Yeah, it's
but
like regurgitated assets, you know?
That's feels what I feel like so Pixar is. It just feel like what it feels like to me is like when you have like the character creation in Sims and it's like the same stock bodies and it's like it just feels like there's a character creator and like Elsa and all these.
You know what it is, too.
They just feel like they're the same machine. And I'll say this: what bothered me the most is you look at Turtles, you look at, you know, Puss in Boots, you look at Spider-Verse, and like everything's so stylized. The backgrounds, the characters, everything has like this identity, and like, you know, there's hand animation that's layered on top of that, right? I loved in the credits seeing that there was a 2D animation team in Turtles, which was beautiful. Like, it's so cool. But with this, I'm sorry, I'm popping off right now. This bothers me so much.
Do it. Pop off. But like, man, I need you to pop off.
The backgrounds in Wish look great. The characters, they look like they pop off of the backgrounds because they don't blend. It's like they didn't marry the
contrast.
They didn't marry the two mediums. It's like the characters themselves look like. Have you ever seen like Simpsons Hit and Run?
Yeah.
Or like the Family Guy game, like back in the PS2. Like they try to make them look cell shaded, but it was just a 3D model with like a really bad like outline around them to make them like if you were to pause the movie, yeah, it might look 2D, but in motion, it just doesn't look right. It looks like Wind Waker or something.
Simpsons Hit and Run.
Oh,
it was amazing. Bro.
Oh my god, Simpsons Hit and Run and Simpsons Road Rage.
Yeah, bro, those games were classic.
I just saw a video. There's a guy who's been remaking. I don't know if it was Hit and Run or Road Rage. I want to say it was Hit and Run. And the cutscenes and everything in that game were 3D rendered. It was great at the time, but this guy like animated it like it's the show.
Like it's the show.
And then he redid all the graphics, and they look incredible. And he's released all these videos, and I saw an article the other day, like, oh, he finished the game, but it'll never be released. And it's like,
yeah, those are the games. They were on PlayStation, and I think they later on came out on Xbox. You might be able to like go on the Xbox store and purchase one of them.
Both of them were great.
You know, but I would only get a chance to play like if I went to my cousin's house and we all got together. We take turns. I remember like Road Rage the most. Because I remember playing Crazy Taxi like at arcades, and it was one of my favorite games. Playing Crazy Taxi also on PlayStation at my friend's house. But when Road Rage came out, again, like my mom never let me watch The Simpsons. I've mentioned that before. So like getting to play The Simpsons was like it was the next best thing, and that's how I learned like the story. I remember going to like Bumblebee Man, and I'm like, oh my god, there's like I have representation in The Simpsons, you know, like. Granted, it was like a stereotypical thing, but at the end of the day, like, hey, I had representation, and like, so I got to like see all these different characters and like learn the inside jokes that I never knew about. For that, my cousins used to talk about all the time. Now I'm playing with them, and they're kind of like how the game is driving you and guiding you through. They were guiding me through the town of the Simpsons. They're like, oh yeah, there's this town. Yeah. There's Mayor Wembley or whatever his name is, you know. Officer Wiggum and all of that.
The
like,
Krusty Burger.
And I'm like, ha, you know, like all the little things.
I love that was a game I rented from Blockbuster all the time. The Road Rage, I fell so in love with it. And as a kid, my mom was always like, don't watch that. Because every news station was like, oh, Bart is this, he'll turn your kids evil. Yeah. And it's so funny to look at that now and be like, wow, it's so like, it really is so tame compared to like what's out there now for kids.
Right.
But so like I got into it like when I was in 6th, 7th grade. I had a teacher who was super into The Simpsons, and he had like all the toys like on his desk and stuff. And that was when the DVD box sets were coming out, and I would save up money or I would get one of the box sets for Christmas. I think we may have talked about that.
Yeah, we mentioned them. Yeah.
And so I became such a big fan like in my 7th, 8th grade, moving into high school. And then the movie came out, which was great too.
That movie was awesome.
I rewatched it. It was really, really great.
Why they didn't make why didn't they make more? I don't know.
I think it did pretty well for them too.
Like that movie was amazing.
Yeah, it was so good. And again, like back to Road Rage and Hit and Run, like both of those games, like I don't think I ever memorized a map more than I did in Road Rage. I remember like all those streets. They would say like, oh, you got to go this place and this place. I wouldn't have to look at the little map in the corner. Or,
you just knew where
you knew because I got everything, like the association with all the buildings and the icons and stuff. But yeah, the Simpsons. I mean, I last year like had a huge resurgence of nostalgia and got back into them. They're all in Disney Plus, which is so nice. And those early seasons still hold up so well. I got a season
funny, bro.
Very, very funny.
Like that's what I love about comedy. That like
if it's done well, it stands the time.
It's timeless.
Yeah.
Like there's certain comedians that I think it's very trendy right now, and you see a lot of it on TikTok for sure. Is the comedian? I forget what style of comedy it is, but it's the comedians that like kind of like roast the crowd. In a way, and like they just kind of like play off of that, and like
you talking about Matt Rife?
No, and I mean I've seen some of his stuff. You guys show me him. No, I'm just saying a lot of it are doing it because it's popular. It's the popular form of content.
Right.
It's what gets the clicks. It's what gets the ticket sales. But I think it's hurting the art of comedy though. I'm not a comedian myself, but I listen to a lot of comedy podcasts. I've been watching comedy my whole life. Who knows? Maybe one day I try to dive into it, and I'll probably be doing the stuff that I hate that I'm talking about right now. But it's what's getting the clicks on TikTok. It's what's getting the clicks on this. But I don't think that's what comedy is. Like when you see like a clip of you like roasting somebody about like what they're wearing or what they look like, you know, or the interaction that you're having, and like yeah, maybe at the time it's funny. When you're there and you're like, haha, it's like bullying. Like you can bully somebody. I can make fun of somebody right now, and I'll have you laughing off. And this podcast will probably like go viral, right? But no one's gonna watch this 10, 15 years from now and like still laugh at that. Right. You know what I'm saying? So that's kind of like what I'm saying.
Well, and I was thinking about that too. It's interesting that you mentioned that. I was having the same thoughts not long ago, like watching the situational humor, which is it's super impressive because it's a different humor style, where instead of writing a set, you know, and practicing it and figuring like what works and what doesn't work, you're thinking on the fly. It's very improvisational, which is impressive to think that quick. But you're not going to tell me that somebody who is doing like a rap battle is going to have a better song than somebody who wrote out lyrics and recorded it in a studio with all the instrumentation that you need to make a hit single record, whatever. And that's the thing. It's you have these comedians, you know, legendary comedians who write material, and they, you know, like something that, you know, like Chappelle does, right? Like he will start the show off with a joke, and then somehow it comes full circle at the end. That's his style, right? And I love that. Seinfeld does that too. On the episodes, they would set something up, and then somehow magically that's the punchline. And it's like, oh, the whole episode was just one joke.
Yeah.
And I love that. And like that, like I was interesting because I was watching some of these improvisational comedians like on Facebook and stuff, and I was like, I'm watching it, and it clicked. Like, wait, does this guy have a set? Like, are these like bits like before and after the show, or is that the show? And I think that's the show. And I get it. That's like a different style or whatever. That's cool. But like I really hope that the art of comedy is not lost, like you're saying, in favor for this viral sensation.
I feel like
it's not so much like, is people 10 years from now going to find this funny? I'm just worried that it's going to ruin the medium that currently exists. And I don't think it's going to, but like, I do see there's a pivot in like what is popular right now. And the other thing that scares me, and I'm sorry, I'm kind of going all over the place with this, but like comedy movies are also kind of non-existent right now.
They're gone.
They pop up on Netflix or Prime or whatever, but they're very like there's no like hype or anything backing them anymore. And like, you know, I remember when The Hangover came out, it was such a big deal because it was the first rated R comedy that like did X amount in the box office. And for a while there was like a lot of comedies in theaters because finally studios were like, wait, we can make a large profit on comedies again.
Yeah.
And then boom, 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 they're trying to find like the next big
Hangover.
Hangover. And it was like the Bridesmaid movie and like this and that came out, you know, and then there was like the stoner comedies with like Pineapple Express. And then it just out of nowhere died.
Someone mentioned it. I forgot which podcast I listened to. It was a comedian. I think it was Joey Diaz. Because Joey Diaz, he was saying, he's like, I really liked who's the guy from Buffalo Grove?
Vince Vaughn.
Yeah, he's like, man, you guys remember Vince Vaughn?
I love Vince Vaughn.
He's like, Vince Vaughn was in everything. And I'm like, dude, he's right.
Yeah.
There was a time where Vince Vaughn was in everything. I just watched, like, I love Anchorman. He's in there.
Oh, yeah, he's great in that.
We just watched Dodgeball. And I was like, dude, I forgot how funny this was. But, like, he was in Wedding Crashers. He was in this. He was in that. He was in everything. And I love Vince Vaughn. We love Vince Vaughn. But, like, they did kill him in a way.
Yeah. That's the thing. And you think about all these actors that were really big. And I get it. Like, some actors, they have their time in the spotlight, and then they have to go away for a while, and they come back, or they want to do other things. But like,
they didn't have to leave. It's like the industry left them. It's like they stopped. It's like they milk you dry.
Right.
But it's like then they just like move on from comedy. And I'm glad you mentioned that because I love comedy.
Yeah.
I'm trying to watch comedy movies with my sister. You know, I'm like, I'm going to the comedy section. I'm scrolling.
And you're like, what's new?
But there's nothing there. I'm like.
Well, that's the thing. Comedies now, like the comedies as we know it has changed, right? And I'm not saying that they're never going to come back. Like I think the only actors that are actively making like prominent movies that are comedies that are kind of hitting the space is Will Ferrell and like Ryan Reynolds and like Jack Black, right? But those actors, if you've noticed, they don't make the comedies that we're kind of used to. Right. Or when they do, it's not that big, or there's not that much. What it is, they're disguised within other genre films.
Yeah.
Like Will Ferrell and Ryan Reynolds had, and I saw it like back to back. I was so funny. Have you seen the movie? I think it was called Noel.
No, I haven't. That's like a Christmas movie.
I think it was called
right?
Noel. Yeah, it was on Apple TV.
Jack Black?
No. It was Will Ferrell and Ryan Reynolds, and it's like their spin on Christmas Carol. It's great. It was so funny, and like it has high production value. It feels like an old school like Hollywood movie. It's a musical also, and it's like the music's really catchy.
I love Will Ferrell.
It's an instant. Will Ferrell killed it in Barbie.
It's amazing.
But that's the thing. Like, look at Jack Black. Like, what was he in recently? Like
the greatest movie ever made.
Well, Mario, but like also like Jumanji. Like, what's that? That's blanketed over like an action family movie. What about like who's another big actor that's in like Ryan Reynolds? He was in a big comedy, but it was with The Rock. That's like packaged around like an action movie.
You just watched this movie. Haunted Mansion.
So that was great, yeah.
But what's his name?
Owen Wilson.
Yes, like Owen Wilson.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that guy.
I love Owen Wilson. Yeah.
So the thing is studios are just not backing up because they don't feel that a full-fledged comedy movie will make them money. You know, unless they're like a huge draw. Like
that's
the only huge draw in comedy right now is like Kevin Hart. I think that's the only person that will be like, okay, you'll make us money.
I think you can make the argument that like Kevin Hart, the Will Ferrell, Ryan Reynolds, like I think all the names that we're talking about, I think can bring the draw in. Here's the thing I don't understand with studios though. You can make a comedy relatively cheap, 30, 50, 60 million dollars. Okay? You're gonna make that and the marketing back, and you're gonna see a profit if done correctly. If you put the right oomph behind the movie, good writing, good like you don't make it cheap. The problem with Hollywood these days is the movie landscape has changed. People are being very picky about what they see, and they're putting hundreds of millions of dollars into these films.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
And like they have to it's like every movie now has to, like. Even the tiniest of things has to break $1 billion to make back the budget.
Right.
And like the way things are right now, it's not going to. It's like, why are you doing this to films? Like, it is like a comedy. Like maybe just films in general, they need to scale them back. And again, I grew up loving Marvel movies, but I can't help but point all the fingers on Marvel. For everything we just discussed, the death of comedy, the overbloatedness of Hollywood, the IP drivenness that we're kind of stuck in, companies being afraid to get out, like step out of their comfort zone and move outside the box. I credit it originality. No, that's what I'm saying. It's like super IP driven. Yeah. It's because of Marvel to an extent. They created the cinematic universe, which is great, but now everybody wants to do that. Number one. Number two, the newer generation has gotten so used to, this formula of action and then a big battle at the end. You even see the change in the shift in like Marvel movies from phase 1 to now. Now they all have to be like the world-ending event with every movie. Why can't it just be Iron Man fighting a version of himself on a rooftop and like one building explodes? Why can't things be small scale? Why do we have to overbloat everything? Why is something like, I don't want to say it because of spoilers. But I've noticed that like even like films that are outside the superhero genre are trying to replicate the success that Marvel had. Yeah. And it's like movies that have like these big battle scenes at the end for non-superhero movies should not exist.
True.
And like I'm happy in a way that there is kind of this negative cloud that's floating over the more recent Marvel films, because they were the top dogs for so long, and they created this world where like only they could achieve success.
Yeah.
And like the comedy genre, I think suffered severely because it couldn't keep up with that machine.
I hope it comes back because I'm a huge comedy fan. I'm glad that we came back to this topic because we talked about it earlier how sometimes we miss the things we want to talk about on the podcast, you know?
Is this something you want to talk about?
Yeah, and it's something that I've been wanting to talk about since we started today. But like every topic is kind of led back to this. So we talked about podcasts. We talked about Ice Cube. And we've talked about like IP driven, right?
Okay.
That's all three things we've mentioned in this episode. Now, in a podcast I listened to with Joe Rogan and Ice Cube, they were talking about the movie Friday, which was I think it was his first movie that he wrote and directed.
Yeah.
And you got to listen to that podcast if you haven't already, because it was very inspirational. And I got a lot from it. And I think, well, my question to you is because I've had a lot of ideas that, like, I've had in my head, whether I've mentioned, like, oh, I want to write a song. I want to do this. One of them is, like, I want to write a movie. Like, I have some ideas of, like, that I want to write about and stuff. But, like, one is, like, the knowledge. Do I have the knowledge to do it? Which, no, I don't. And, like, Ice Cube didn't. You know, he didn't know how to write a script at all. And, like, he didn't know how to direct. He didn't know nothing, you know? And he made Friday. And, like, I'm sure the budget for that was low at the time.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and it made a bunch of money. And it became a cult classic. One of the stories we posted by now is a quote from that movie. Mm-hmm. You know, and it got me thinking, and maybe in a way inspired me, like, maybe I just gotta do it, you know? And, like, as I've been driving around this week, you know, I've been trying to come up with, like, the name of the movie. I've always had an idea of what I want to do. But anyways, like, I wanted to, like, bring it on to you. Like, would you ever want to write a movie and make it original? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's going to be your movie. You have your ideas, and you kind of like to break this wall of what Hollywood has become, to try and be like, yo, I don't have the budget that you guys have, but I know this idea is gold, and somehow, some way, I want to get it out there. Like, is that still a goal of yours in your life?
Yeah, I mean, look, like, I've gotten very, very close to getting actual things greenlit at studios, you know? Mm-hmm. And I have movies that I've written.
I know.
And there's one that I'm super, super passionate about. I love.
Do I know about it or no?
Yeah, I've discussed it with you. I'm sure, I think. You know, and I was, during the pandemic, actually, I wanted to continue, I want to take some, like, classes, you know, just keep my mind going. And I took a screenwriting class, and one of the scripts that I had, I was workshopping with one of the professors. Great guy. Became very close with him. And it meant a lot to him to say that. I'm not trying to say, like, ooh, you know, great job, Chris. But he was very impressed with what I wrote. And he was saying to me that, you know, this is something that you should really try to pursue. Like, I know you're just trying to do this to kind of hone your skills and all that, but there's something there. And I've always, you know, I wanted to be a Disney animator as a kid. My cat is ripping up the couch. What are you doing? Hey!
Hey, come on, Tiger!
Hey!
Like, we just watched Cheech and Chong.
Yeah.
And, like, just even the little opening sequence was him just, like, washing his car with his beanie, right? And one of the last slides of text was, like, written by Cheech Marin and Tommy Chong.
Right.
And I was like, why can't that be, like, written by Chris and Christian. You know what I'm saying? Like that's what I was thinking. Like while watching it.
I mean,
not saying that we're gonna write a film together, but I'm like, dude, these guys were young. This was 78. I think he was born in the 50s.
Right. So they're 20s.
Like, they were like in their 20s. You know, and I'm like,
it's tough to just enter in the space, but
it is.
But I would. It's super competitive.
But doing this,
everybody,
and like YouTube, we can do it. Like, why not? You know?
Yeah. I mean,
so that's why I wanted to ask you. You know,
everybody and their mother in LA is writing a script that's trying to get on some producer's desk. It's a tough process.
Yeah.
But you know, and there's many stages that go into it, and even like the movie that you write ends up going through a committee of people, and they get their hands mixed into it, and the end product sometimes isn't even your product anymore. It's kind of a sad thing. But it's possible, and it's definitely a dream of mine to have something at some point that, you know, either of us have written go up on some sort of screen. But at the same time, I'm just enjoying, you know, what we're doing here, because we have an outlet to be creative in different ways. And like, it's interesting. I'm actually working on something right now that I actually want to show you. But like,
bust it out, dude.
But like,
why are you holding back? Yo, Tiger, go get it.
But like, you know, with the early days of Scrapped, and it's kind of funny because we're talking about how Marvel changed the landscape of, you know, this and that. Like, YouTube has changed also, and like back in the day, you can kind of take time on content and like make it the best that you can, and then put it out there, and you can get away with doing like 1 or 2 videos a month, and like you would have growth. But now it's gotten to a point where you have to kind of feed the machine a certain way. And, you know, when I originally started Scrapped, I would do like 1, maybe 2 a month, and they were longer videos, and I would edit them out so beautifully, and there was like a certain style, and like something that, you know, I kind of brought back the old style of Scrapped with the last episode, the Volcano Taco. And the goal is to really like take the time with them and build them out to be like a little bit more beefier than just like a quick little like 2-minute video. Like, here's some updates. I like putting a little bit more of ourselves creatively. Yeah. And like, there's a show that I'm like, this idea that I'm working on right now that like I'm making it feel like a little there's more substance to it, you know, and that to me is a great way to be creative, you know, and that's my outlet, you know.
Yeah, that factor, like that change of YouTube is kind of like what, you know, there was that period, or there's, you know, like you said, there's periods of ChrisCross, right? There was a certain period where like maybe you felt it too, like you just like were kind of like demotivated in a way, or you're just like, what the heck is like, you just maybe you is burning out or whatever. But when you see it change into what it had become, it's just like, I don't even want to do it anymore. Maybe that's just like my personality was like, I'm either all in or I'm all out.
Yeah. In a way, that's
when I saw like, dude, I can't put the time into what I want to put into. Like, I can, but it's like to not get anything back from it. Like, as much as people say like, oh, I do this for free, and I do, and I love doing it. Yes, you do. But man, it feels good when you have a couple people say, hey, you know, like, I really like this. But when you get like nothing back, you're like, bro, I just spent so much time, and then you see someone like put in 50% of the effort, and they get 2,000% of the. You're just like, you're telling me I could have just done that, and it does make you feel some type of way.
Yeah, it hurts.
You know, and I'm glad we went through that, because I already know what that pain is. Yeah. So if it happens again, hey, charges to the game. I've already been there. You know what I'm saying?
That's the thing. Like, with, you know, I'm proud of like every video that we put out. You know, but I use Scrapped as a good example because it changed drastically from where it started to where like it ended in like 2019 when I stopped it originally. Like when we took that channel break, we just weren't posting for like a year, 2 years. It became a very different thing, and it wasn't bad content. It was just a different content. It was a different show, and that's why I with the last couple videos, like, I brought it back to its original style. And I have to say, like, ever since we brought back the channel, especially recently, like, I'm so proud of the content that we're putting out. Yeah. Like, I'm having so much fun doing these shorts, you know, like vlog style kind of stuff that I remember doing way back in the day when we first started these channels. It was us experiencing things and going out and doing stuff. And I have some ideas I want to talk to you about, and I know we were kind of talking about certain things earlier today, but like that to me is so gratifying. And that's the thing, even if these videos got no views, like even seeing the guy who puts half the effort and gets 1 billion views, even if these videos get no views, it was so much fun making them and editing them and thinking about them and planning for them that I've already got my satisfaction out of it.
Right.
Like the fact that they're getting views and people are commenting and doing that is just a bonus to me. And that's the whole point. And this, when you and I were saying we got to bring the channel back and do all this stuff, we said we're not going to do it for the wrong reasons. We just want to like have fun. And the fact that we are having fun doing this, and this podcast is, I look forward to it every single week.
For real, dude.
Like that.
I'm like, I can't wait. We're
doing it all for the right reasons, and that's what
it
feels great to me. You know, creatively and just everything.
And the cherry on top is the people that are like getting something out of it. Like today you posted, hey, we're coming back with episode 9. You know, so hey, if you haven't watched episode 9 or listened to episode 9 on Spotify, go check it out, man. We're on Spotify now, okay? We're also on TikTok, all right? And you know where we're also at?
Threads
on Entertainment Earth.
Oh,
Chris, let them know how much they can save, where they can save it at, and how many toys they gotta buy me. We got a PO box coming soon.
You can use our code, which is in the description and also pinned, and you can get 9 + 1% off your purchase.
How much is that, bro?
That's 10%.
It's been a while since I've been.
I believe 9 + 1 is 10.
I believe you
Yeah,
may be
am I
onto
right?
something.
Something I wanted to say. And I'm going to check Entertainment Earth after this because I was walking, doing my little window shopping at Target as I usually do. They have some insanely cool, like retro style Ninja Turtle toys.
Dude,
and I know Entertainment Earth is going to have them, dude. I'm going to go get my 10%.
Oh my god.
Oh, dude.
That might be my first purchase, man. I love the turtles, man.
The new, for the movie, those toys are awesome. But I have to say, they brought back retro stuff. It's really cool.
Yeah, like I used to have all those, man. Like, if we were in a family where like we didn't move around as much and things were like better conserved and not thrown away, like I would have had a bunch of like retro Ninja Turtle toys, man. But what's cool, like I mentioned earlier, there's a new generation, man. Forget the past. The past is behind you.
Okay.
What is now is here. It's turtle time. It's pizza time. It's Entertainment Earth time. So go ahead and use the code. Click the links in the description or in the pinned comment below. Ooh. Save yourself 10%. It'll give us back 10%. Ooh. And we'll get some toys too. And when we go live, they're gonna be right here, and you guys can see them.
We know what we should do. Do an Entertainment Earth unboxing. As a short, like once a month, like, hey, this is what we got from Entertainment Earth, and boom, show them. And you guys send us yours, and we'll feature them. Sick. Be really cool.
Yeah, that's a good idea. That is definitely a good idea.
Let's do that. I was while window shopping. We're on the topic of toys. I have to say, Lego is killing it right now. On top of having like
Lego their
toys,
missed.
Their toys are super pricey. The inflation of Legos is insane. However, I was at the store today and they just hit the shelves. The new Sonic the Hedgehog line.
They have Sonic toys?
They did a special edition Lego
Weren't
creator.
They on Mega Bloks? What?
Nah. Listen here. Sit down.
Learn me something.
I'm about to learn you. Okay. They had a Lego Creators or Lego Creation set. For Sonic. It's like it was just one loop.
Green Hill Zone, right?
Green Hill Zone.
Yeah, I remember that.
Then they just launched a whole whole series. And they have like Eggman, Tails.
You think they have this like at the Lego store, like at downtown Disney?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah?
Yeah. They have them at Target. But I'm not
yeah.
Let me go. Here we go.
Gotta go fast.
Ready for this. So then on top of that, they also dropped today the Donkey Kong sets for Mario. I didn't see the actual Donkey Kong, but I saw Dixie. I saw Rambi.
What? They get love? They gotta have Donkey Kong in there, right?
And I saw the Diddy Kong, and then they had Funky Kong in a set.
What?
All different sets. There was the Funky Diddy Kong set was a minecart. They had like a little like $10 like additional set with Rambi, and then they had like this little like Squawks and not Candy, Trixie Kong. a Trixie Kong set. But I didn't see the Donkey Kong set. But Donkey Kong is like his hut with Cranky Kong.
Oh,
it's so cool. I'm telling you right now.
I wish I was a kid again, bro.
You can't be a kid. Just buy them now. Look at my place.
No, I know, but imagine being like, because remember, like us growing up, we had our little toys that we were super excited about.
Yeah.
I wish I was like getting these toys. You know what I'm saying? Like now, you know what I'm saying? Like I wish I was 10 again, so I could experience. Because when you think
at that age,
yeah, like think of when you were 10, like the toys you got.
Yeah.
Hell, I remember the toys I got like when I was 5, bro. Like I remember my birthday. Like my mom will tell you, like I said, screw the cake, screw the clothes. Like if I got clothes,
toys.
I used to get mad. My mom was like telling me a story recently that I'd open my gifts, and if I'd see clothes, I'd throw a tantrum. And I'd be like, I don't want this. And like I'd throw it around, and like I would just scavenge across all the gifts that I'd get until I found like I would cry if I didn't get like Power Rangers toys. Like I'd be like, Mom, we're the Power Rangers, you know? But like, yeah, I could get them now, and I can appreciate it. But like being a kid and like not knowing how to build the stuff, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I still remember that, like looking through the booklet, and like everything was a mystery. Now it's like we're older and we're like at a job, like following instructions, you know? But when you were a kid, it was like, you could make like these abominations like Sid from Toy Story, you know? You just end up making this crazy stuff.
I gotta say, maybe you have, I mean, you see me. I have not stopped.
Yeah.
I am still very much a kid when it comes to the toy department. I feel like I'm still that little kid at heart. I don't know. I have a very, very different perspective. I feel like, if anything, last 5-10 years, I've like really tapped into that like inner kid of myself, and I do, you know, I do have such an enjoyment of like building Legos, for instance, right? Like you said, you kind of mentioned, and I don't know if this is what you meant, but like it feels like you're just reading instructions. Like the building process to me is like so much fun. Like I don't know,
it's still fun, but I'm saying like when you were a kid, it was more like. It's hard to explain. It's like when you're an adult, you're working a job and you're sticking to a script. You follow the code of conduct. You follow the employee handbook. You do what needs to be done. You know, you follow the rules, right?
Yeah, I guess.
But when you're a kid, it's like those are the rules. They're laid in front of you, but like
I'm just a kid. Don't know. My life
like,
is a nightmare.
Yeah, like, you just don't know. Like You see the rules, you understand them, but like sometimes you build your own thing, you know? I feel like maybe I still need to find that part of me where like I gotta let go.
I'm trying to dissect what you just said.
What
As a kid, let's say you have a toy and there's some instructions that say how to build it. Now your goal is, okay, I'm gonna put this together. I'm gonna have all the pieces laid out. I'm gonna separate them by color. So I have easy access to build it exactly how it's supposed to be built. I'm going to build it, and I'm going to stick it on a shelf and admire it. As a kid, you say, yeah, these are great. The instructions are fine. You pour all the toys out on the carpet.
Yeah.
You're grabbing things. You're trying to sift through them. You don't really look at the instructions. You build it with your imagination. Exactly. What you're saying is that there may be a lack of imagination in your love for toys. And then I'm the same way. All my stuff, like I put them together and I display them nice. As a kid, my Jurassic Park toys, I'd be on the carpet playing adventures. I don't do that.
Yeah.
And like, you know, there's elements of like these Legos, right? Like for instance, the Mario Legos, there's like a game element to them. Mm-hmm. I would probably never play the game.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
But as a kid, I probably would.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So, like, we were such fans of Mario and Donkey Kong. And, like, us growing up, we didn't have sets like this.
Mario was just only games. There was no products.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So, like, I wish I was a kid again. Because this is stuff that I liked when we were kids.
I see what you're saying.
You know what I'm saying? So, like...
Now I understand.
Yeah, it's like, we can't do that anymore. Like, we can build it and, like, admire it and, like, display it and, like, wow,
if I walked in a room...
money to afford these expensive-ass Legos.
If I walked in a room and saw you laying on the carpet on your belly and playing with G.I. Joe and your Little Mermaid doll, I'd be like...
There might be something wrong with this cat here.
Hey, Christian, your pizza rolls are ready.
Yo, So we have an idea. You mentioned pizza. We have an idea of like some cooking thing we want to do. You know what I'm saying?
Dude, I almost did. I almost pulled it out today, but I didn't have time to get you know what.
Right. But
oh,
in the movie,
yes.
I don't know if you caught it, and I didn't look at you or point at you, but Mikey ate a piece of pizza.
Yes, sir.
And there was a certain topping on it. And that wasn't as outrageous as like the 80s toppings.
It was pizza. A definite reference, though.
It's definitely a reference.
Absolutely.
And I think we should just... It was one topping, I believe. But we should just make that pizza and make a video out of it. And that could be the one to launch the Pizza-matic ChrisCrossMedia universe.
The Pizzaverse?
The Pizzaverse. As people from somewhere near Chicago, we gotta do it.
What?
I did that for the fans. If you know, you know. There's certain fans I did that for.
You know what you do that's really interesting? You spring on the most obscure references. This guy last week had me so confused with the what were you referencing? The 6 and a quarter wires. 6
6.5 inch cable.
And who are you looking for?
For Johnny Hamcheck.
Hamcheck, yeah. This guy gives me the most obscure reference, and then afterwards proceeds for the next hour showing me TikToks of this guy, which was an insta follow for me. This guy's channel was so good. Bro. But you do that. You'll give I get it. We do cutaway references all the time. You go for the who has ever seen this kind of reference? Like you and 2 other people in the world would know what you're talking about.
It's because I'm good at finding the people before they blow up, man.
That guy, he could be the next big thing. Dude. I was laughing so hard at that guy's content.
Literally, I read a comment today on someone's TikTok, and it was like, why do these videos hit different at night? It's so true, dude.
Wait, explain what this guy does.
Okay, so Johnny Hamcheck is an account on TikTok, and this guy has never shown his face. I saw a video where he was recording himself in front of a car mirror, and you can kind of see him. But it's like a magician. I didn't want to ruin the magic for me. I didn't want to look into them, whatever. But it's this guy who goes around to one of the series is him going up to construction sites. So he'll go up to these random construction sites. I believe he's in Ohio. And he'll just go up pretending like he's a worker, like he just got out of prison or whatever. He's got a delivery of
6.5 inch wires.
6.5 inch cables
that he has to give to the top boss or whoever's running this shit. Who's running this shit?
He's looking for Balboni. I heard Steve Balboni's running this shit. Hey, is this Steve Balboni's joint?
And it's the confidence level and how quickly he thinks of all of this stuff.
Right.
And then what's great is whenever they introduce him to one of the bosses, hey, it's great to see you again. And it's so interesting. The human condition, nobody wants to act as if, I don't know who you are.
Right.
Or I don't make you feel bad. So they play along sometimes. They're like, yeah, how you doing, man? I haven't seen you in a while.
The best one is you are... he'll mention a random name, but they're so common names that everyone knows. A common name he mentions is Michael. So he'll be like, Michael told me about you.
Yeah.
Or you're friends with Michael, right? And I'd say 8 times out of 10, he'll be like, oh yeah, Or they'll be like, which Michael? And
you know which.
And they set themselves up because they're like, Michael Roberts? And they'll be like, oh yeah, because
yeah, exactly.
Oh yeah, I went to high school with him. Yeah, and he'll just keep going, or his famous is if they'll rebuttal with him, he'll be like, oh, I know. He always says I know.
I know.
It's the George Lopez. I know.
And what's great is at the end, he's it gets to the point where he's usually backed into a corner where he's like, I have no escape.
Yeah.
They're on to me, right?
So he has
and then he goes,
getaway.
I think I'm at the wrong place.
Yeah, that's always his getaway.
Oh, this is that place?
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Balboni doesn't run this? Oh, I'm at the wrong side.
What's the other? He does the construction sites, and then what's the other one he does? He does a couple.
Yeah, he does
styles.
construction sites. He does the. There's one series where he does the. It's called the blue collar crime, and he goes to get pretty much he gets free food at drive-thrus, and then at the end he'll ask people if they're hiring. Hey, are you guys hiring? Because I got a cousin. He just got out of prison. He's like, he just strangled somebody with his hands. It was a blue-collar crime, you know. He deserved it.
It was in self-defense.
Yeah. That's one series he does. He does the Dog Poop Association series.
He'll go up to different guys in the park walking their dogs. And he'll be like, yeah, your dog pooped 3 large ones near the lake. and the one you showed me, I was laughing so hard because he was... Oh, speaking of poop!
Wait, did Donkey Kong take a poop? Do we gotta send the DPA on Donkey Kong? I hope he didn't poo in the cage. Johnny Hamcheck.
Last week he pooped all over the.
Well, he's out, man. We're back on the podcast. He's out and about. He knows we're not on vacation no more, so he's coming out. You know. He got out. He got out of the cage. I can't find him anymore. He ran away. Actually, he's out of here.
He's quick. He came, banged a couple bongos, and then left.
I think he's working with Balboni.
Balboni Kong.
He's looking for those 6.5-inch bananas.
I wanna. You know, it'd be cool to drop maybe on like our one of our socials is what would Balboni Kong look like?
like a henchman. He's like a straight
mobster. Like he's got like a skeleton kind of motif. I think Balboni Kong.
Balboni.
Actually, I watched a video recently. It was about like a Donkey Kong history video, and I forgot who did it, but there was a game. I forget which. Maybe it was some Mario game, but there was like a skeleton Kong. Like, you know how there's like dry bones, but there was like a Donkey Kong
That's
skeleton.
Sick.
It was cool. It was pretty cool.
That'd be a cool villain.
Yeah.
And a play on the names, either Bald Boney or Ball Boney.
What do you mean?
I'm saying on the name of Balboni.
That's what I'm saying.
But you're talking bones, but you're playing on the name of Boney, right?
Yes, sir.
So I'm saying
Balboni.
Say bald, bald Boney.
Oh,
or ball, a ball Boney, or
I'm gonna say
that.
this.
But imagine just you're saying a skeleton figure.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe at the joints he's got little balls everywhere, basketballs, baseballs, soccer balls, and it's Ball Boney kind of thing. It could be a villain in Paper Mario or something, you know?
Bone and balls? Is that where you're getting at?
Yeah.
I feel like we're gonna get some weird fan art.
Yeah.
But
we've gone too much. You've said too much.
I've said too much. I do want to say I'm gonna say this. You know what we should do? You and I next week, we should present our Balboni Kong artwork, and I do raise it to the viewers at home.
Okay.
To also send in.
I'll make a note of this because I'm probably gonna forget.
Balboni Kong character art.
I'm putting it in my notes right now.
And we'll put all of your submissions. You can put them on if you're on our Discord.
Hey, yeah, let's put it on Discord.
If you're on Threads
it's gonna go on
or Facebook, you'll see the links down below. Follow us on our socials. Send us your Balboni Kong artwork.
And go watch Johnny Hamcheck's videos.
Yeah, give him a shout. Go see Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem too, by the way.
Yes.
That movie was great.
Yes.
Support that film.
Follow Harry Mack as well. Everyone we mentioned in today's podcast, drop them a follow, subscribe to them, check out their content, and let us know some of your favorite creators. Maybe, if Balboni lets us, we'll give him a follow. You know what I mean? That's the best I can do. That's all I can do. See you next week.
Hey, Christian.
It is what it is.
It is what it is.
It is what it is.
What's that line you told me to say?
Oh, say it. Ready? Go.
Oh,
come on. You got it. It's the best line you've ever said ever in your life.
I forgot it already. You might have to.
Don't be weak.
Yeah.
Come back next week.
Don't be weak. Come back next week.
You know what you sound like? You know what you actually sound like?
Who?
Like if DJ Khaled was a
DJ Khaled
was a Oompa Loompa.
That's a drawing right there.
Another one.
Another. Oh my god.
You know when I saw this video of DJ Khaled? I know everyone's seen it. I'm sure it's circulated like 10 times by now. But he was like being interviewed. It was like, why aren't you losing weight? He goes,
because I never
lose.
All I do is win.
Like, how does your brain work like that?
Dude, I love DJ Khaled, man.
He's interesting, I'll say that. He's a character.
He's just living life, man.
I guess.
That dude's just living life.
Just it, man.
And cut.